Hi everyone, I'm coming in with my 3 top tips on how to carve out space when you just feel like you've not got any. So, tip number 1 is a mindset shift, and that is to change the thought process and the belief that being busy is a good thing. So often we get into this loop of having to do something all the time, stay busy. It's almost like a badge of honor to be busy all the time and doing something all the time. But actually, once we slow down and turn inwards and sort of create that inner space, then the outside space starts to fall into place as well. Um, Number 2 is routine. So when you can carve out some sort of routine for yourself. Now, I will just point this out by saying that I am in no way a fan of a rigid routine. My two of my core values is flexibility and freedom. So I am in no way an advocate for, you must have a set routine, but having some sort of ritual in place where you know that you have a set time for yourself. And I also understand that there could be a lot of mums out there who are saying to me, but I don't get enough sleep during the night. There's no way I can have more time in the day. Again, completely empathise. My youngest didn't actually sleep through until he was around 18 months. So prior to that, the last thing I wanted to do was get up before the children, because I was feeling like I was just getting some sleep. So again, completely empathise. But what I have found personally is that since getting up regularly before the children, before anyone else wakes, then I suddenly have some time to myself, that space that I was craving, and ultimately that my soul was needing. I was needing that space to myself. So I used that morning time to journal, to meditate, to go for a walk, to do some yoga, move my body in any way that feels right. And mornings might not work for you. It could be an evening thing. But carving out some kind of routine into your day where you can plan ahead and maybe discuss these things with your partner and maybe your children if they're older in the house, that this is your time, and set yourself some boundaries to harbour that time. And number 3 is one of my favourites. Now, this is something that I have been doing more and more over the last, certainly the last year, but more so over the last 6 months, even in lockdown. So when you do have that time to yourself, and even if it's just a 5-minute window, don't be so hard on yourself. If you weren't getting 5 minutes to yourself before and you now are, then celebrate that. Like, really feel into it and enjoy the freedom, because that 5 minutes is yours. So my third tip is, when you do get the time to yourself, make little upgrades. So for example, I have bought myself a new French press cafetiere. So when I have my coffee time, we've not been getting out to coffee shops for the last 3 months, over 3 months. So it takes time. These things take time. I spend, 5 to 10 minutes prepping and having this coffee. I'm not going as far as grinding it. Maybe one day. But I prep, there's a routine, there's stages to go through to make this coffee. And I get my cup and my saucer. It doesn't go into any old mug, it goes into a cup and a saucer, and I have my teaspoon, and I have my oat milk, and sometimes I froth it, sometimes I don't. It just depends on how I'm feeling. And it's just these tiny little upgrades that makes your space, your time, that little bit more precious. So if your time to yourself is bath time, then make it the best freaking bath in the world. You know, get all those soaps in, get all those, the bubble baths and the oils and the salts, you know, whatever's your thing, and really make it special, because you deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. There is no, oh, that's too indulgent. I don't want to hear that. There's no you know, that feeling of guilt that comes up when we do something special, especially when we do something special for ourselves. So I would love to know in the comments how you feel in these things, and I would also love to know if you have done any of these things. Do you make your time to yourself that extra bit special? And if you do, then share with us what it is, and maybe we can get some conversation going around that. So I hope you're all doing well. I will speak to you all very soon.